My husband got it. Okay. So this is the third week that we are doing chapter 37, and I think we'll finish today. Whether or not we finish, we'll finish today. So, just to quickly recap this parak of Tehilim, this is a response from Hashem on how we should react when we see evil succeeding. That's what the whole parak is about. And as you'll see, that the parak sums up with a promise that evil won't succeed in the end. So, in the first time when we did the first few psukim, the capital told us, don't be jealous. Know that the success of evil that we're seeing is short lived. Trust in Hashem, and we have an obligation not just to trust in Hashem, but to put our faith in Hashem, to nurture our faith. And David Melech gave us ideas of how to nurture our faith. He said, do mitzvahs, take delight in doing mitzvahs, and like know that there's a promise that if you do that, the yitain mishalos libcha, that Hashem will give you that which you are asking for. And then finally in that share, we learned from the pasuk Gol El Hashem, which is roll over your troubles to Hashem, let Him worry about them. Then the second time that we learned this parak, we added on the other rules, which are don't be embarrassed about the good things that we do. We also learned the rule of Daim La Hashem, be quiet, and be quiet as in when we admit that we don't understand everything and just hope, pray, and trust that Hashem is running the world. Repeated again this idea of not being jealous. Also repeated the idea and expanded on the idea of not copying evil. Don't ever come to the conclusion that it looks like it's worth being. Bad. The other instruction that David Melech gave us is don't be angry and don't make Hashem angry. Believe in schar v'onesh, in reward and punishment. And then he gave us a very good idea of how to be able to see good in other people and even in ourselves, od ma'at, just to look for little bits of good. And finally, the concept of being humble, or the promise that humility will help us to see and to experience good. So now we can continue with Pasuk Yud Daled 14. 14. We actually, yeah, we okay. So Pasuk Yud Daled, Cherev Paschu Rishayim, the evil have drawn their swords, v'darchu kashtam, and they've bent their arrows, lahapil ani ve'evyain, to try and topple over the poor and the destitute, litvoyach yishrei derech, and to slaughter those who are honest and just. And Rav Shamshon Hirsch says that this is the cycle of history, and we've seen it since the beginning of our time as a nation. We were good, things were good, somebody attacked us, things were bad, they were punished, and everything was fine for a while until some other nation or some other people went for us again. And he says this is the cycle of history, and that is what will carry on until the time that Mashiach comes. And so that our hope and the way that we will succeed is only to daven for Mashiach, to ask for Mashiach to come. And so, as we said, in the cycle, Pasuk Tes Vav, Charbam Tove v'Libam, their swords will go in their own hearts, v'Kashtoisam Tishavarna, and their bows will be broken. So evil will be punished, right? And even possibly it will only be short lived, but it will be punished. And then goes on to a new idea, Pasuk Tezain. He says, Tov ma'at latzadik. It's good to have a few, just a few supporting the tzaddik, mehamon rashaim rabim, then many who are wicked, plenty and wicked. So that's the simple pshat of the pasuk, that when it comes to having supporters, it's better to have a few who are good and righteous than to have lots and lots of supporters who are, they themselves are wicked. That's simple. A little bit deeper than that, I think it's something that we've seen quite a bit of. That Chazal tell us that even a few good people are better than a lot of wicked people. Tov ma'at. It's better to have just a few good people than it is to have hamon rashaim, a lot of wicked people. And then it goes on to things that are really practical for us. The idea that tov ma'at, having a little, is good for a tzaddik, mahamain, than the plenty is for a rasha. If we go all the way back in the Torah to the story of Yaakov meeting Esav, and they have a discussion about their properties. Now, both of them were really, really wealthy people at that stage. And Yaakov gives Esav a gift, and Esav tries to say he doesn't really want it, he doesn't need it. And he says, he makes a statement to Yaakov. He says, Yeshli Rav, I've got lots. Okay, I have a lot, I have plenty. And Yaakov's response to him is, Yeshli Kol, I have everything. And lots of discussion among Chazal. What was the difference in their answer? I have a lot, or I have everything. And Russia over there says a wicked person, never thinks he has enough. So he might have plenty. Okay, usually Rav, I've got plenty, but there's so much more that I could still have. So yes, I have one house, I would like to have two. I have one car, I would like to have three. I have this amount of money, I would like to have much more. So usually Rav, I've got a lot, but I'm never satisfied. A tzaddik, on the other hand, is blessed with a bracha of kol, of feeling that he has everything, so that even if he doesn't have everything, he's satisfied. Tov ma'at la tzaddik. A little bit is better for the tzaddik. The tzaddik feels that he has so much. He feels that he has everything that he needs, more than a Russia who possibly has even more than them. I was telling it to one of my classes. Sorry. um, when I was growing up, so I was only the only girl, and I was properly spoiled. I think the only thing my father ever refused me was a Cindy doll. And he thought it was rubbish. He said I could choose anything else. Didn't need a Cindy doll. But otherwise, I had everything. Really, really had everything. I had a friend who also was the only daughter, and she also, her parents were similar status, and she also had everything. And one day I said to her, I'm so spoiled. And she said, No, you're not. Um, I said, Yeah, I'm really spoiled. I have everything, anything I want, I have. She says to me, You can't be spoiled. Because if you spoiled, then I'm spoiled, and I'm not spoiled. Okay, so this I always thought was funny until I learned the whole concept of the bracha of kol. What is the bracha of kol? Where Hashem makes you feel like you have everything. You don't necessarily have everything, but you feel like you have everything. And this was the bracha that was given to the Avos, to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Avraham, it tells us straight out in the pasuk. It says, "Hashem beiraches Avraham bakol." Hashem blessed Avraham with everything. Then about Yitzchak, Yitzchak says, "Va'achal mikol." I ate from everything. And Yaakov says, Yeshli kol, I have everything. We told that the others were blessed with this feeling, with this feeling of kol. And actually, every single time we bench, we ask Hashem to give us this blessing of kol. We say, Harachman should bless us, bakol mikol kol, right? Which is just like you blessed Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov with this bracha of kol, bakol, with mikol and with kol. So, Ken Yavarech Hasanu, so you should bless us, Hashem, kulanu yachad, all of us together. And this is what David HaMelech is saying over here. He's saying, Tov ma'at. It's better even to have a little bit, but to feel that you have kol, mahamain, than to have the so much like some Rishonim have and are never satisfied with what it is that they have. Rav Shamshan Hirsch also looks at these words and he says, what does it mean um, that Tov Ma'at? He says, we cannot be the judge ever of who has a lot and who has a little, because we only see outside stories. We only see what's apparent to us. We never know what's going on in somebody's home, in somebody's heart, in somebody's bank account, in somebody's relationships. We have no idea of any of that. So we look at people and we make very shallow judgment about what they have. These people have everything. These people have so much. These people have so little. We have no idea. And therefore, says David HaMelech, don't confuse yourself with trying to figure out who's got a lot and who's got a little, because very often it could be that taiv ma'at latzadik, that what looks to you like a little bit is better for this good person than all what looks to you as so much for somebody else that appears to be so much more. Pasuk Yud Zayin, Kizras Hashem Tishavarna, because the arms of the wicked person will be broken. V'semach tzadikim Hashem, but Hashem is going to support the righteous. Yodei Hashem Yemei Samimim. Hashem knows the days of the Tamimim, v'nachalasam la'elam tihiyeh, and their portion is forever. It's eternal. So you'll notice that I didn't translate the word Tamimim, where it says Yemei Tamimim, the days of the Tamimim, because all of Chazal, all the commentaries ask, what does it mean? Hashem knows the days of the Tamimim. What are the Tamimim? Who are they? And what are their days? And so various commentaries explain Tamimim are people who are sincere, who want to be good. They add to it. Tamim is a person who sees every single day as an opportunity to do something more good. Another opinion, a Tamim is a person who wants to use each part of himself and perfect each part of himself in the service of Hashem. So we're getting the idea that a Tamim, and just as a by the way, the Lubavitcher Shiva is called Tamchei Tamimim, and boys who go to Lubavitcher Shiva are called Tamim. Given that title from this here, Yemei Tamimim. So a tamim, a real tamim, can be any of us. Someone who's sincere and wants to serve Hashem absolutely and properly. So what is Yemei Tamimim, the days of these people? And Chassidus explains to us that days, whenever the Torah says day, it's representing good. Day, light, that's always representing good. So Yemei Tamimim, the days of these people, means the good, the light, the sincerity of these people is good. And it explains to us in Chassidus that a tzaddik asks, or a tamim asks himself every single day, what can I do today that will make my today better than my yesterday? How can I uplift myself? Doesn't have to be huge, it doesn't have to be drastic, doesn't have to be anything, but we have to keep on asking ourselves, if we want to have that title of a tamim, how is today better than yesterday? What can I achieve? What did I achieve today that I didn't manage to do yesterday? And so, in probably in summary, a tamim, according to what this pasuk is saying over here, is somebody who is intent on growing in the service of Hashem. Somebody who's intent on growing in within themselves. So that's understanding Yemei Tamimim, that Hashem knows and He looks at the days of the Tamimim. Let's take it to a slightly different direction. So if you go back again into Bereshis, and we're talking about Avraham over there, we're in that same pasuk that it says that Hashem blessed Avraham Bakol. It also says, Avraham Zakain, Avraham was old, but B'yamim, which we would translate as coming with his days. And most Chumash and most translations will tell you that it's two different words for saying old. Avraham was old and Avraham was old. So why the double expression, and why this funny way of saying old, but B'yamim? So there are many different explanations on that, but just the one that fits in over here with what we're learning. Chazal tell us that when a person faces the Eibishter, the Beis Din Shel Ma'ala, the heavenly courts, after a good long time in this world, please God, there's going to be various witnesses. Some are going to stand up for us and say, hey, she was good. And some are not going to stand up for us and say, hey, she was good. And who is going to be the main witnesses that are going to shout out our good or the opposite? That's going to be our days. All our days are going to come with us. And some of our days we're going to want to hide. And some of our days we're going to want to bring them to stand in the front and say, look, Abishta, look what I did, look what I achieved in my lifetime, look how I did, how I worked. And some of our days we're going to want to put them far away. Don't say anything about what I did on that day. So our days are our witnesses to how we behaved, how we accomplished, what we're up to in the world. When it says for Avraham b'yamim, Avraham was coming with his days. It means that Avraham was able to bring all of his days. There were no days that he wanted to put in the back row. Avraham accomplished something on all of his days, and they could all stand and bear witness to him, for him, on his greatness, on the life that he led. And that's what the David HaMelech is telling us over here. Yedei Hashem, Hashem knows Yemei Tamimim, the days of the Tamimim. If we are truly sincere, then Hashem can look at every single one of our days, and they can bear witness to our sincerity and to our greatness and accomplishments. And then there's the promise in this pasuk, the nachalasam la'olam tiyeh, and their inheritance will be forever. So this is different from the inheritance of the wicked. Right at the beginning, we said that the inheritance of the wicked, the success of the wicked, is short-lived, right? And David HaMelech compared it to grass. It looks prolific, it looks beautiful and healthy and green, but when you cut off some grass, it dies straight away. It withers and dies. It's short-lived. But for the people who were good in their lives, the opposite of the Rishaim, the Tamimim, the good ones, what is the promise? That their inheritance, that which they get, will be eternal. The pasuk continues and says, they won't be embarrassed at bad times, and even in times of famine, they'll be satisfied. Why? Kirushaim, because wicked people Yevedu will disappear. But Oivei Hashem, and the enemies of Hashem, Kikar Karim, they will pass like a glimpse of light. Kalu, be finished. But Ashan Kalu, and in a haze they'll be finished. So that good which we thought was so great and so amazing, and right now we're looking at and saying, how come the bad people are succeeding and they have everything, they're so rich, they're so healthy, they have all the brachas that we think we want, that's going to disappear in the picture that David is painting for us. It's going to just disappear in a haze, in a quickness of light. Rashi translates the word korim as a fattened lamb. And he says, what is a fattened lamb? And he explains it with a mashal. He says that there was a farmer, and the farmer had a horse and a donkey and a pig. And every day he gave the horse and the donkey their measured out amount of food that they were supposed to have and needed to be healthy. And the pig, he could have as much as he wanted. And when he finished the one trough, he gave him a second. And when he finished the second, he gave him a third. And the little baby horse is watching all of this and thinking, this is really unfair. We, the horses and the donkeys, work so hard. We pull the wagons, we busy help with the weeding, we have to work away, we have to give him a ride, we have to carry his carriage. It's so unfair. He gives us a little bit of food, and the pig, he wallows in the mud, does nothing all day, and he can eat and have as much as he wants. And then his mother explains to him. His mother says to him, wait until, I don't think it says in the Gemara, but wait until Christmas time. Wait until someone wants a pig, right? And then what what happens? They want to have a party and they take this fattened pig. Do you know why the farmer's been letting him eat and do whatever he wants? So that when the farmer wants to have a big meal, he can take the fattened pig and he can have a really good meal. So this is what Dr. Melech is explaining to us over here. He says when we watch the tzaddik, the Rishaim, getting things that we think is so unfair, we should know that Hashem is looking after us and He's fattening them for His own purpose. And in the end, they'll be gone. Will be that there, whatever they have is going to be worthless. Leive Russia v'lo giving us a new definition of what a Russia is. A Russia is someone who borrows and has no intention of repaying. V'tzadik chaynen v'noisen. But a tzaddik, he's gracious and he gives and he gives. In other words, he borrows and he returns. So, what is this idea? Suddenly giving us this new definition. So, simply understanding what this is, new definition to what is a Russia, wicked person, someone who borrows without planning to return. So Lahavdil Shakespeare also says this, and he says, "What never borrow or lend a be." Right? That you shouldn't borrow things, you shouldn't lend things. So actually, if we discuss this halachically, we could go through the whole understanding and what's written, the back and forths, and actually halachically, it's better to lend somebody money than to give them money. If it will encourage them to go out and work and do something, raise them, and be able to return the money. So in the end, the whole halachic debate says, yeah, do lend money. Then we come to Mishlei, and in Mishlei, wise man Shlomo says, don't ever lend. Don't ever lend anybody money. So why is Shlomo HaMelech contradicting that which says in halacha? And the commentaries over there say, Shlomo is not telling us we should never ever lend money, saying, yes, if somebody comes to you to borrow money and you go through the whole thing of should you lend them or should you give them, it's better for you to lend them the money. But when you hand over the money to them, in your head, it should be given. If they come back to you with the money, then it's a bonus. But if they don't come back to you with the money, you okay, right? You lent it to them and you're not going to have gripes against them. So that's understanding this pasuk at a very simple level, a pshat level. A little bit deeper, and to try and connect it up with the rest of what this parak is saying, the Pshat Shulchan says to us that everything that we have in this world, we have on loan. Every single physical thing that we have on this world, even our bodies, everything physical is really on loan from Hashem. And Hashem gives us everything that we need in order to do what we are supposed to do for Him. And if we take all the stuff on loan and we have no intention of paying back, in other words, I have no intention of being a mensch, I have no intention of doing anything good with it, everything Hashem gave me, I'm going to use just selfishly, just for myself, without doing anything of what Hashem would want from me, then I can put the title Russia, God forbid, next to my name. And a good person is someone who takes everything which Hashem has loaned him and he makes his life worthwhile, right? And then is the promise that Hashem will give us more and more and more. Hashem will be gracious to us and He will give us more and more and more. The next pasuk. So it says Chaf Beis. I'm just trying to skip a little because I'm watching the time. So it says Kim Varchav Yishu Eretz Umakulalov Yikaresu. Those who are blessed by Hashem will inherit the land, and those who are cursed will be cut down. What do we need to know for all of this is the next pasuk. Hashem mitzadei gaver. From Hashem are the footsteps of a man. Kainanu v'darka yechbatz. He goes with them, and this is the way, that Hashem wants. So, what is it telling us? That the main important thing that we need to know is that every footstep that we take has been directed by Hashem. We go where Hashem wants us to go. Every single neshama has a route, has a journey that it needs to take, and our job is to follow that journey, to go on the route that my neshama needs to go. And Hashem has given me every single thing that I need in order to go on that journey. The steps have been laid out for me, and this is what Hashem wants from me. And he says, but ki yipol lo yutol, because then even if a person falls, stumbles, he won't fall. Ki Hashem seimech yadai, because Hashem is holding his hand. So we will in our lives stumble sometimes. Either it will be our own stumbling, or it will be because of circumstance that we'll stumble. But a person should know that if you believe absolutely that every step you take is because that's where Hashem wants you and that's what He wants you to be doing, even when we're challenged, even when we possibly in crisis, we have to have faith. And what is the faith that we have to have? Ki Hashem seimech yado, that Hashem will hold our hands. And he goes on with the next pasuk that probably everyone is familiar with. Nar hayisi, I was young, v'gam zokanti, and I also got old. V'loi ra'isi tzadik nezav, and I never saw a tzaddik who was forsaken. V'zara mevakesh lachem, and his children were begging for bread. So this is such a strange pasuk, and in fact, one of the reasons that it's not in our nusach to say it is because it's such a hard to understand pasuk. Is it really true that you've seen people, you've like in all the years that you've lived, you've never seen somebody good who's hungry? Like seems like Hashem isn't looking after them. The pasuk doesn't seem like it could really be so, and a lot of the commentaries say this pasuk doesn't. It's not a galus. It's not a pasuk for exile time. In exile, we do see people who appear to be forsaken, and when Mashiach comes, we'll understand all of that, and we'll be able to say this pasuk with real kavanah. Other commentaries explain that the word ne'ezav, forsaken, means absolutely, totally forsaken, and even in that, there is no good person who is absolutely, totally forsaken, even during Galus time. So it's not to say that a tzaddik or a good person can't have challenges or crises. They can, but they will never be ne'ezav. They will never be forsaken completely. And then in the Gemara where it discusses it, it says, what does this pasuk actually mean? It means that the tzaddik himself doesn't feel that he's forsaken. The Gemara carries on and says, this pasuk cannot be said by a human being. There's no possible way a human being can say this pasuk, and it could only be said by someone who can see history from right the beginning and see the future all the way to the end. And so the Gemara concludes that this pasuk was not said by a human, not made up by a human, but it attributes the pasuk to the president of all angels. I don't know how you say that. An angel called Metatron. It says he was the president or the officer or the grand angel, whatever. And he said, I've been around from before Adam was created. That's Nar Hayisi. I've been there since the very beginning. And Gamza Kanti, and I'm going to be there until Mashiach comes, right? Angels are eternal. And I've never, ever seen that Hashem would leave the world forsaken of tzaddikim. So not that the tzaddik is forsaken, but that the world is forsaken of tzaddikim. And the Gemara explains that in every single generation there are tzaddikim, because without tzaddikim in a generation, the world would just cease to exist. And so every single generation has tzaddikim in. Going one step further a little bit, the commentaries tell us that Adam, David, and Mashiach are all the same person, right? And our hint to us is in his name Adam, Aleph Daled Mem, Aleph for Adam, Daled for David, and Mem for Mashiach. They're all the same neshama, same person. And so David HaMelech, who's writing or who's editing Tehilim, he can say this because he can say, I was Adam, that's Nar Hayisi, Gam Zakanti, I'm going to be Mashiach one day, right? And right now I'm David, and I can say that from the beginning of time till the end of time, there was no such thing as a tzaddik who is completely forsaken. So that's just a little understanding of the concept of Adam. Here, I see that we are out of time. I'm going to just finish off orally a little bit. But the next couple of psukim is warning us or begging us, pleading with us to look to good rather than to evil, to see that good will always come, like, will be the better option, to know that even though right now, and it keeps repeating it, even though right now it appears to us that evil is what's having its success, a person should know that it's coming to its end. Interestingly, also in these next few psukim, the Chazal tell us that evil is represented in our everyday life, not only by the evil around us, but even by the Yetzer Hara. And there are times that our Yetzer Hara is getting us. That's the evil that's getting us. And there are times that it's the outside world that's getting us. That's the evil that's getting us. And sometimes it's personally, it's just me and the evil that surrounds me. And sometimes it's nationally, it's the evil that surrounds us as Yidden. And we see evil succeeding all over. And every second or third pasuk over here says to us, put your faith in Hashem, and you will see that evil will not stand. Evil cannot stand. Evil will be wiped out. And finishes off the very last pasuk, Vayazrem Hashem, Vayifaltem, that Hashem will help us. He will rescue us. Yifaltem Rishayim, He will rescue us from evil. Vayashi'em ki chasuv, and He will save us because we put our faith in Him. And that's an abridged version of the second part of, a very abridged version of the second part of this capital of Tehillim. So wish you all a good day and a good Shabbos, and